For number 1, we have to find the volume. Our shape is a cylinder, so we need to choose the correct formula. V equals pi r squared h. Our next step is to substitute into the formula. But for the formula, we need the radius and the height. And the picture shows the diameter the whole way across the circle. So our first step would be to cut the diameter in half to get the radius. Half of 14 is 7. So now substitute into the formula. We will use 3.14 for pi, 7 squared for the radius, and 11 for the height. Our last step would be to calculate. When I multiply all of this, I get 1,692.46. Our label is meters, and since it's volume, our label has to be cubed. Number 2, a can of baked beans has a diameter of 6.6 centimeters and a height of 9.9 centimeters. Find the amount of baked beans that could fit in the can. A can is a cylinder, so I'm going to draw a little sketch of a cylinder first. So for my can, I'm going to need the radius, and in the problem, they give us the diameter. So to determine the radius, I'm going to do 6.6 divided by 2, and that would be 3.3. So in my picture, the radius is 3.3 for the can, and the height is 9.9. Now I just substitute those values into the formula pi r squared h using 3.14 for pi. And once I show my work of all the values that I've substituted in, I go ahead and calculate that. 3.14 times 3.3 to the second power times 9.9 equals... So I get 338.52654. The directions say to round to the nearest tenths place. So that's the first digit after the decimal point. The 2 tells us that it doesn't round up or anything, it just stays the way it is. So my final answer, 338.5, and then don't forget your label, centimeters for this problem, and volume is to the third power. For number 3, it says the radius of a mini basketball is 4 inches. What is the volume? A basketball is in the shape of the sphere, so we have to write down the formula for a sphere. So for this formula, 4/3 times pi r to the third power, I'm going to substitute in my values. And then depending on how you want to use your calculator for this, you could do 4 times 3.14 times 4 to the third power, and then divide by 3 to get the 4/3 in there. Or you could use your ABC button on your calculator and then type in 4ABC3 times 3.14 times 4 to the third power. So depending on how you want to do that, let's see what you get. So I get 267.9466. Again, this problem says round to the tenths place. So I look at the tenths place, and there's a number 4 there behind it. So that means I'll just have 267.9 as my final answer. And our label is inches to the third power, inches cubed. Here's a picture of another sphere, except this time it looks like we have the diameter, we have the whole way across the circle, and we just need the radius for the formula. So I'm going to take that 9 and cut it in half, or 9 divided by 2 is 4.5 for the radius. Then go ahead and show your work by substituting in all the values into the formula. continuing to use 3.14 for pi, and we're going to take 4.5 to the third power. Again, when you punch this in your calculator, if you want to use the ABC button to put the fraction in, you can do that, or you can multiply the numerator 4 times 3.14 times 4.5 to the third power, and then divide by 3 to address that 4/3. So that's kind of your style choice. So I end up with 381.51, and that's inches. Now it doesn't say to round on this one. If we were to round to the tenths place, we would get 381.5. Okay, for number 5, we're going to find the volume of a cone. So let's write down the formula to solve this problem. V equals 1/3 pi r squared h. And notice again, we need the radius for this equation, and in our picture, they've done it again, we have the diameter. So we have to take 16 and cut that in half, so our radius is 8. Then go ahead and show the work by substituting in, and we continue to use 3.14 for pi, and our height is 24. Okay, so go ahead and calculate that. You can use the ABC button again for that fraction if you want, or you could multiply everything here and divide by 3. Your style choice. I would try both ways and see if you get the same answer that I get. So when I calculated everything, I got 1,607.68, and that would be inches to the third power. It doesn't say to round to the tenths place, but if we did, that 8 would make that 6 go up to a 7, which would be 1,607.7. I think we would accept either answer on this one. Question 6. A piece of candy corn is in the shape of a cone. The height of the candy corn is 2 centimeters and the diameter is 1 centimeter. Find the volume and round to the nearest tenth. Since it's the shape of a cone, we're going to write the correct formula down for a cone and substitute in the values. I'm also going to do a quick sketch of this candy corn. So V equals 1/3 pi r squared h. We have everything we need to sub in. 3.14 for pi. Our radius is 2, and our radius is 1 to the second power, and our height is 2. Now when we calculate, we can multiply everything and then divide by 3, or you can use your ABC button. When I calculate this, I get 2.09333, and the 3 is repeating. But I need to round to the nearest tenth place. That's 1 digit past the decimal. Behind this 0 is a 9, so this final answer will round to 2.1, and we're looking at centimeters to the third power for our final answer.